Hello and welcome back to a very warm Sevlievo in Bulgaria. It's the second round of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. My name is Paul Malin, and in a moment it's going to be the second race of the day for the FIM MX2 riders. They're already down there on the grid. That's the view from the pit lane area. If you're looking out across the back of the car park, the snow-capped mountains here, and you can get good skiing hills here in this part of the world. That was a quick look at the 1700, excuse me, put my teeth back in, 1700 meter long circuit, and we've got a good crowd here this weekend as they eagerly await this second race. There's Tommy Searle, finished third in the first race and third overall at the opening Grand Prix. He led here though for 7 laps before being overcome by his teammate, and then of course Jeffrey Hurlings. We heard him in the post-race interview after that first moto. He said he had a problem with the front brake, lost the front brake, but up until that point he was the fastest rider on the track, and he's going to go and look at winning this second race. So that handed the number 34, Joel Roulant, the perfect time and perfect position. He was in second place. He capitalized on his teammate's mistake, and he ended up going on and winning the race. Took his first ever career race win in MX2 competition. That's how they lined up in qualification. Of course, no Valentin Tellier, I would think, after that big crash that he had on the second lap of that first moto. He qualified in second. He was in 7th place before he fell. And yeah, I don't think we're going to see him taking any further part in today's proceedings. But it was a win for Roulant. Hurlings was second. Tommy Searle third in the first moto. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek was fourth. And then it was Kulas, Anstey, Nichols, Ferrandis, Jordi Tixier and Michael Lead. The Monster Energy 15-second board is about to turn to 5, which means we're getting ready to go racing here in Sevlievo. The heads go down, the revs go up. Tommy Searle alongside Jake Nichols and Jose Boutron. Elliot Banks-Brown, who didn't score in that first moto. But look at that, Hurlings from the center of the gate gets pushed wide going into turn 1. He tried to get the Joe. Look at that. A couple of riders almost coming together through that first turn. And Tommy Searle it is who's grabbed that whole shot once again, just like he did in moto number 1. But there's a bit of water gone down. There'll be 1 or 2 slick patches out on the circuit. Whoa, look at that. One of the Suzuki's out off track. Is it Harry Kulas or Petr Petrov? Well, dropping downhill, it's Tommy Searle, Jake Nichols in second, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek in third. Looks like it might be Anstey or Tomkov in 4th or 5th, actually. Certainly one of the Garibaldi Esther Honda riders. But it looks like Hurlings has got a good start. He's there in, what, 3rd, 4th place with his teammate. Certainly going around the outside. I think that's Hurlings on the left-hand side, the 2 riders side by side, as they head uphill into that wave section. Well, here's Tommy Searle on the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. This is where it's greasy. Well, Tommy Searle leads. One of the Red Bull KTM riders second, and well, they're both there second and third. Jake Nichols just behind them in 4th. Joel Roulant in 5th. I was trying to work out where he was starting from. We've got a rider down at the top of the hill in a pretty dodgy position there as well. So we'll try and zoom in on that guy at the top there as he's gone down. But certainly one of the front runners at the time. At the first split, it was Tommy Searle, Jake Nichols, Van Hoorbeek, Hurlings, Anstey, Tomkov, Banks-Brown, Lupino and Boutron, with Pocock around 10th ahead of Roulant. But that seems to have shaken up a little bit there. There's Nichols. And it's Nichols still in second position, I believe. Tommy Searle there leading from Jake Nichols. Yeah, 2.2 seconds clear. Then it's Hurlings in 3rd. 4th is Van Hoorbeek. So Nichols there in white on that orange Nissan JM Racing KTM. He's got Hurlings running alongside him under the Invest Trade Bank sign, and he goes through into second position. So this is going to be a straight-up dogfight now between possibly the 2 fastest riders in MX2 at the moment. Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings. Jake Nichols dropping into 3rd place. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek there at the bottom of the hill in 4th. Then we got the number 6 of Max Anstey in 5th. Joel Roulant, our winner from moto number 1. He's in 6th place, in 5th place, and 6th place Roulant, sorry. Tomkov is 7th. Lupino is 8th. Ferrandis, I think it might have been Elliot Banks-Brown that went down on the hill on that first lap, because he's nowhere to be seen inside the top 20 after making what was a pretty good start just a lap ago. A little bit further down, we've got Dylan Ferrandis, Jose Boutron, Harry Kulas. Here we are on board. Well, there's one of the riders going down. That was Evan Haybeek, 1-1-2. So Haybeek, and we're on board actually with Jordi Tixier. Just looking at, there's Tommy Searle, hard on the brakes. Elliot Banks-Brown, good look, but then he got pushed wide. So too did Hurlings. In fact, it might have been Elliot Banks-Brown that was the rider that got pushed too far wide as opposed to Hurlings. But Tommy Searle, at the moment, in charge and in control. Rider down in the background. There's Elliot Banks-Brown. He was one of the riders that went missing. One of our leaders, one of our KTMs has gone down in the background. Was it Hurlings or Van Hoorbeek or Nichols or Van Hoorbeek? Just at the bottom of the hill, lost the front end. So Tommy Searle goes through, fastest lap of the race, a 1:53.8. Excuse me. Hurlings goes through, 3.5 seconds down, 1:54.7. Then we've got Van Hoorbeek. It was Nichols who went down at the bottom of the hill. So Nichols going from 3rd place. He picks himself up, comes over the line. We're in 13th place. So the Nostar Jam racing rider lost the front end at the bottom of the hill, just at the back end of our camera shot as the riders came through to take that Monster Energy tabletop jump after the uphill wave section, dropping down. And, well, there's Jose Boutron on the right, number 17, going up the inside of Dylan Ferrandis on the Rockstar Energy Bud Racing Kawasaki. Trying to sneak back up the inside, but Boutron doing all he can, make himself very, very wide indeed as he drops downhill, trying to go around the outside of the number 17 Spaniard. So the 22 Frenchman. Good drive up there. Look at that difference in power. Maybe a little bit lighter as well. Dylan Ferrandis in terms of his body weight. Really taking the challenge to Boutron. These two aren't going to back in, that's for sure. Look at the back end working overtime under braking for Dylan Ferrandis on the freshly watered part of the circuit. But it's Tommy Searle, Jeffrey Hurlings, Van Hoorbeek 3rd, Anstey is 4 on the Garibaldi Esta Honda. Joe Roulant is 5th, but he is already 10.5 seconds down on our race leader, 2 behind Max Anstey, 3 behind Van Hoorbeek. Then we've got Tomkov 6, Lupino 7, Ferrandis is 8th. That's who we're looking at there. Boutron 9th. Well, that's changed hands. So Ferrandis now in 9th place. Then Michael Lieb, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider for Steve Dixon in 10th. Then Mel Pocock there as well. So teammates battling wheel for wheel in 10th and 11th. And Harry Kulas on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki is 12th. Then Jake Nichols, Julian Lieber, Robert Just. That's the corner there where Nichols went down. Petr Petrov, Jordi Tixier, Valentin Guyot, Samuele Bernardini and Roman Fabre. Last year's European MX2 champion. Then we've got Ivan Monticelli, Andrea Chervelin, Alex Batig, Lurk Claria, Ivanovs, Davis, the Latvian, then Jens Gertemann, Pascal Rauschnecker down in 35th position. Elliot Banks-Brown still circulating, it would seem, but down in 35th place, although the body language would suggest as Tommy Searle goes fastest again, 1:52.397. Only 0.2 quicker than Jeffrey Hurlings, although that's now gone out by 4.6. That gap at the head of the field. Looking at Lupino, trying to fend off the challenge from Boutron. If it stayed like this, Tommy Searle, with a 3rd and a 1st, would edge out Jeffrey Hurlings for the overall victory here by a point. Hurlings taking 2 seconds, 2 times 22 points for 2nd position. Tommy will have a 20 from his 3rd place in moto number 1 and a potential win here. 25, making it 45 for him. Then it would be Roulant. So here's Roulant's coming through here, number 34. He will be on the podium on a 41. Tommy Searle maybe got a tear off, just stuck under the hand there, letting that go. Sometimes that happens, you pull a tear off, it doesn't quite get off your hand in time, you put your hand back on the grip, and then of course you have that problem then of a shiny grip. Of course you need grip around this circuit, but there he is. There's Jeffrey Hurlings in 2nd, the Red Bull Factory KTM rider. Is it another fastest lap for Tommy Searle? 52.3 last time around, 52.6. What about Hurlings? 52.7, so again 4.7, that gap going out ever so slightly. Tommy Searle more than confident in his ability around the circuit. Won here before in 2008, didn't come here for a couple of years, didn't win here last year, but was on the podium. and obviously more confident in his hard-pack riding ability than, say, someone like Jeffrey Hurlings, who's more renowned for his sand riding capabilities. But the level of skill and talent that both riders have, ensuring that both riders can and will adapt to any conditions thrown at them. And Jeffrey Hurlings taking full advantage of the problem that Tommy Searle had in moto number 1 to pull back another points in the championship. Tommy Searle taking full advantage of his start in his second race, that perfect hole shot. But look at that, fastest split at section 1. Timing screen goes purple. Jeffrey Hurlings 3/10 quicker than Tommy Searle. 35.5 seconds compared to the 34.5 compared to the 34.2 of Jeffrey Hurlings. But there's Van Hoorbeek in 3rd position at the moment. That's Max Anstey looking for a podium here. Max Anstey finishing in 6th place in moto number 1. Got off to a much better start here in the second race. So Anstey started down in 10th in moto number 1. Took a few laps to get up into 7th place before eventually coming home in 6th, edging out Jake Nichols in the process. But much better start, as we can see, in moto number 2. And he's only 3 seconds or thereabouts down on Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. But with 25 minutes to go, it's Tommy Searle from Hurlings. We're looking at Max Anstey flying high above the Sevlievo hillside here in Bulgaria, the second round of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. We're on board now, though, with Petr Petrov, the homegrown favourite, quite literally. Lived here for 6 years, born and raised in that time. 7 kilometres from this race circuit. Now residing in Belgium is the 17-year-old. Wow, look at that, take a Lupino right at the inside of Alexander Tonkov just after they completed that lap. So Tonkov was 6th, Lupino was 7th, but Tonkov having none of it. Boutron there in the background in 8th place on that number 17 Silver Action KTM, or Diga Racing KTM, I should say. Up the hill they go. Tonkov doing all he can to fight back at Alex Lupino. Lupino in 7th position. Had a tough ride in the first race. Watch this, coming over the finish line jump. Lupino right the way down the inside. Tonkov thought he had it covered. Oh, that was very, very close. And Lupino lucky to get away with that. Look at that bounce off the top. He had no feet on the pegs going into that turn and made absolutely no mistake about it. And you can understand why. Look, he was shaking his head and saying, look, enough, cut it out. Came across him right in the face of the takeoff for the jump. But, you know, Tonkov going for the inside, defending his line in terms of what we do normally do in a race situation. 50-50. Lupino well within his rights to keep it on the gas, also well within his rights to back off, but neither refused to lose in that corner. And in the end, as he bounced his way off the step down into that corner, found himself running high and wide into the front wheel of Alexander Tonkov. So 1 minute 52.9 for this rider here. Championship leader Jeffrey Hurlings is homing in on Jeffrey Hurlings. That gap down to less than 4 seconds. 3.9 now. In actual fact, spoke to Stefan Everts on the MX Live TV show directly after MX1 as Tonkov losing out to Boutron. So Boutron now in 7th place. Alex Tonkov down in 8th. Tonkov there, number 66 on the black Honda Garibaldi Ester machine. Dylan Ferrandis behind them, a couple of seconds further back, just coming over that Monster Energy tabletop now. He's in 9th. Michael Lieb still hanging on to that 10th place ahead of his teammate, Mel Pocock. Harry Kulas still there in 12th, sorry, ahead of Jake Nichols, 13th. And Jake, a couple seconds back. So after that mistake. Jake Nichols just finding it difficult either to pick up the pace or just find his groove, but he's in amongst the traffic down there, and that's going to make it difficult as well, because every time you leave yourself open to maybe force an attack to go around the outside of somebody, you're leaving yourself open to be passed at the inside by somebody else. So Jake Nichols in a difficult situation at the moment, because Harry Kulas only about a second or so, second and a half ahead of him. And he's got Petr Petrov just behind him, and then Julian Lieber. And there is Julian Lieber, number 33. Got Tixier behind him, our onboard camera at the top of the hill. There's Petrov just ahead of him with the second of the onboard camera on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki Europe MX2 machine. That yellow machine, sure, look at that. Almost running into the back of Julian Lieber was 911 Jordi Tixier. Tixier looks like he should be able to find a way through. Gets good drive going up the hill though, but look at that. Lieber giving him no room, making himself very wide. And dropping down into this right-hander. That gap down to 3.3 seconds now between Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings. Again, about 6/10 quicker, but then Tommy Searle responds by 3/10. He goes quicker in the first sector. Max Anstey, 7 seconds down on Jeremy Van Hoorbeek at the moment, as Tixier and Julian Lieber fighting over 50, getting awful close over that finish line jump. That's the gap between Tommy Searle, top of the hill, and Jeffrey Hurlings just behind him there. And Hurlings will just think psychologically that there's a gap that's possible to close down. Tommy Searle, though, will believe that he's the quicker rider and the one more likely to take the second moto win. Remember, this is not just for a race win for Tommy Searle, it's also for the overall Grand Prix victory. And Jeffrey Hurlings will know that as well. He would have already done the math. That's the gap between first and second. Van Hoorbeek still third, Anstey fourth, Roulant's fifth. 20 seconds down on this battle, though. Lupino sixth, Boutron now seventh. As we saw him go by Tonkov, who's now eighth. Ferrandis still ninth. Lieben, Pocock still squabbling over 10th place, about a second and a half apart. And we've got Kulas, Nichols, Petrov, Lieber, Tixier, Guyot, Robert Just, Andrea Chervelin and Alex Battig. What's the gap now? It was 3.3. It is 2.8. Fastest lap of the race for Jeffrey Hurlings, 1:58.8 seconds. That was half a second quicker than Tommy Searle. So the race is on. The second half of the moto, 20 minutes plus 2 laps to go or thereabouts remaining. A good crowd witnessing this superb action from these two guys, Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings there, number 84. Going after the race win, going after the Grand Prix victory, looking to extend his points lead just that little bit more as they go to Fermo in 1 week's time, round 3. Tommy Searle has to respond. He has to respond to keep that Grand Prix victory alive. We're going down a pit lane. We're going to talk to KTM. Here we go.
Just in the pit lane with Stefan Everts. We've got 2 of the Red Bull KTMs up in the top 3, and Jeffrey is closing the gap on Tommy. Yeah, Jeffrey is closing up. The battle is on right now. They're really pushing everything they can. Also Tommy. So race is still 18 minutes, so anything is still possible. And track is getting drier now, so coming tricky. Traction is getting less, but exciting race. Thank you.
And it is getting exciting as well, because look at that, he's halved that gap. It was 2.8, almost 3 seconds. It's now got right the way down to nothing. Hurlings has Tommy Searle right in his sights with a little less than half the race to go. And Tommy Searle will now, it's a fight for first position. He's got that right, as our man in graphics, but Tommy Searle trying to fight to keep the Grand Prix position alive. With 18 minutes to go, it's Searle and Hurlings. They're battling for the overall Grand Prix. Tommy Searle then continues to lead here. Led every single one of these 8 laps that have gone so far. It was a 20-lap affair in Moto number 1. He only led 7 of those, but that was until he had a problem with the front brake, he said, after the podium. But Jeffrey Hurlings took a few laps to get going himself, and then he found himself homing in on the second place. Tommy Searle closed him in, started to relax, got a bit more confident, and I would suggest that would be the case as well. He would have seen Tommy Searle make a mistake up there on that hill. Backmarker moves out of the way. Looks like it might have been 262 Giacomo Del Segato. Almost side by side at the bottom of the hill, turn 7. And Tommy Searle will know, although a mistake there from Hurlings, will know that the KTM rider is there. Tommy Searle going a little bit too deep in that corner. The past few laps trying to use it like a berm. Nothing wrong with his fitness, we know that. And by the look of it, nothing wrong with the confidence of Hurlings as he gets used to these hard, slick conditions. Well, it will be 2 hard races in a row. Of course, Tommy Searle threw away a potential Grand Prix victory last year at Fermo in the second moto, handing that to Jeffrey Hurlings. And he wouldn't want to repeat of that this weekend, but we've still got 16.5 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. Van Hoorbeek still there in third, ahead of Anstey, Roulant and Boutron. There, top 6. But all eyes on this battle here. The Floride Monster Energy Kawasaki Pro Circuit rider, Tommy Searle, number 100 on that green Kawasaki. Jeffrey Hurlings, he pulls the tear off. Heading back down the hill, that gap, well, it's 1.3, but we don't need a monitor to tell us that. But once he's caught Tommy Searle, if he gets any closer than that, he's got to find a way past him, of course. Will Tommy Searle leave the door open? Will he make it easy for him? He certainly had no choice in moto number 1. Just into the finish corner after the finish line jump. Couldn't make the inside as the 300 goes, moves aside. Golovkin, Vyacheslav. 1-1-2, Evan Hayby getting it wrong again, just like he did on the opening lap. So he would have had the back end come around him on the takeoff for that uphill step. But Tommy Searle, can't quite see the number on a side panel there, but might have been 1-2-3 actually, Samuele Bernardini. There's 2 of those TMs out there. Just over 15 minutes remain. Tommy Searle, number 100 on the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, almost loses the front end in that left-hander at the top end of the circuit. He's 1.3 seconds clear of Jeffrey Hurlings, number 84 on the Red Bull Factory KTM, just behind him there on that orange machine. The guys behind them, back markers in this race. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek about 10 seconds back in third position. Max Anstey on the Honda Garibaldi Ester machine is in 4th, ahead of our winner from race 1. Another mistake there from Tommy Searle. Roulant's down in 5th, Boutron is 6th, Lupino 7th, and Tonkov is in 8th, ahead of Dylan Ferrandis 9th, and Michael Lee just ahead of Mel Pocock down in 10th place. There's Roulant. And Roulant's trying, and he is. He's closing in on Max Anstey. This is a battle for 4th position. So this would give Roulant another point or 2 in terms of securing his place on the podium in 3rd overall. But the gap at the head of the field, 1.7 seconds. Tommy Searle marginally quicker than Jeffrey Hurlings last time around, a 1 minute 53.3 and a 1:53.7 for Hurlings. So maybe Tommy Searle just weathering the storm a little bit. This past couple of laps started to relax a bit. As we look at Max Anstey, 3rd rider in shot there, in the middle there, sorry, number 6. Had a good first moto, did Anstey. Fought from way back down the order, got into 6th position. But he's got a bit of a fight on his hands here now with the 34 of Joel Roulant. 262, Del Segato moves out of the way. Del Segato on the Marchetti Racing KTM. But Roulant's closing down all the time. On the rider ahead of him, Max Anstey. That time for, well, they're very similar. But look at that, how close Roulant's is. 55.0, 55.2, respectively. But Roulant's just seems to have got the bit between his teeth, getting a little bit more traction coming out of some of those corners. We're going down to speak to the Honda Garibaldi team, though. with Giacomo Garibaldi.
Here in the pit lane with Giacomo Garibaldi. Alexander's first year in MX2 and he's doing really, really well.
Yeah, we are really delighted about him because nobody expected to see him in front, and he's showing that he has the speed to stay in the top 10 this year.
And Max is also doing really well in this second moto he's up.
Yeah, Max, I hope he can confirm the 4th place, but anyway, we are delighted. He's always riding very strong and consistent.
Thank you.
Roulant's going through at the top of the hill. Anstey fighting straight back though. And this is for 4th position. So Jules Roulants has been closing, gradually eking away at that gap, and he rides Roulants out of the turn, and it's side by side. Whoa, Anstey almost coming off worse, and he's on the gas and he's charging. Well, I don't know what he's doing there. Anstey obviously trying to defend his line, but absolutely giving no room for Jules Roulants. Well, this one's going to be a dogfight for the next 11.5 minutes plus 2, that's for sure. Anstey really showing the bulldog spirit. Was 5th as he came over the line. He's back in that 4th place. Roulant's looking away around, trying to go up the inside here at the top of the hill. Not going to get through there though. Meanwhile, the gap gone back out to 2.5 seconds between Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings. So Tommy Searle, 1:52.1, his fastest lap of the race, but not the fastest lap. Fastest lap was a 51.8 for Jeffrey Hurlings, but Tommy Searle putting in his fastest lap, so responding well. Here we go, watch this. Anstey straight into the inside of Roulants. Then it was Gears hooking up, and the two of them as bad as each other through there, wanting to come across. But watch this, Anstey changes direction. Roulants unsettled, he knew exactly what was coming next. And Anstey ran him wide in the next corner as well, and has maintained or taken back that 4th place that he lost a lap ago to Jules Roulants, who's lost some bike lengths as well to the hard-charging Brit Anstey. Going to have to regroup now is Jules Roulants. And that is Anstey there at the top of the hill. 2.2 seconds a gap at the head though, Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings. Again, Hurlings responding this time by about 0.3 of a second. Samuele Bernardini, the 1-2-3 on the Italia Maglia KTM, just back marker being spun out there. Coming out of that final corner, be smart. That's the message from Kawasaki. They know he's on for a podium finish here, but he knows that points now could mean the difference between finishing on or off the podium, 1st, 2nd or 3rd in the World Championship at the end of the season at Teufelstal in September. But he's going to have a second bite of the cherry, it seems, with 9.5 to go. So Anstey 4th. It's the guy number 6 at the bottom of the hill on the black Honda. Then we've got the green Kawasaki, 34 of Jules Roulants. Then it's Jose Boutron. About 12 seconds down on these guys. And Alex Lupino. And Tonkov, they're still around about a second apart or thereabouts. So that one not done yet either by any stretch. Dylan Ferrandis hanging on for 9th. Lieb and Pocock still not going anywhere past 10th and 11th between them. Harry Koulas, Jake Nichols still there, 12th, 13th. So pretty static down the lower end of the top 10 places. As we look at Petr Petrov, that's Jake Nichols just ahead of him on the Innistan JM Racing KTM. Tommy Searle, back marker between him and Jeffrey Hurlings, number 84. 1.6 the gap, so Hurlings responding again. And with 8.5 to go, still tough to call. Whoa, Jeffrey Hurlings bounces through that little double combination, keeps it nice and low over the Monster Energy tabletop into turn 3, hits the bank, hooks the gear, gets off the back of the bike, launches his way up to the top turn here, the first of the inclines. He's got Tommy Searle in his sights on the Monster Energy Floride Pro Circuit Kawasaki just ahead of him, number 100. Now a little over a second between them. This is not only for a moto win, it's also for the outright Grand Prix overall victory. Remember, 2 scores count. Jeffrey Hurlings finished 2nd in moto number 1. That was 22 points for him. He's looking at another 22 at the moment in 2nd position here. That'll be 44 Tommy Searle, third in moto number 1, 30 points on the board for him. And of course, he's leading here at the moment. That'll be 25 for him. That'll edge out the overall Grand Prix by a point over Jeffrey Hurlings. And the back marker's really starting to come into play now as well. And Tommy Searle doing all he can to not sure if you had loss in transmission there like we did, but apologies for that if you did, but in the sound quality maybe. But Tommy Searle comes over the line, the gap between him still getting closed in by Jeffrey Hurlings. 1.1. 6.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Bearing in mind it's 1:53 a lap at the moment for these guys. 1:52.7 if you're Jeffrey Hurlings. This one definitely going all the way down to the wire. Now, what's Jeffrey Hurlings going to do? Is he going to ride smart and sit there in second position? Or is he going to try and challenge Tommy Searle, make the pass as soon as he gets the opportunity, and hope that Tommy Searle doesn't respond? So many questions, so little time left on the clock. Van Horby, 20-odd seconds behind these guys in third, probably just at the top in the opposite corner there. Anstey, well, he's weathered the storm. He's in fourth position on his Honda Garibaldi Ester machine. Put about a second and a half in between him and Joel Roulant in fifth, who's looking like he's going to have to be content with third overall in the Grand Prix, despite winning the opening moto. Back marker here, Tommy Searle's going to have to go around the number 837 of Alex Batic on the JTEC Racing Yamaha. And now he looks over his shoulder, sees Hurlings closing in as well, as you would do with these two guys. One goes by, the other one surely not to be too far away. Tommy Searle doing his best to stay out of those deep holes on the inside of that corner. So too Jeffrey Hurlings, but Hurlings making a tighter turn of it at the bottom of the hill. Hasn't done him any harm though. Maybe a few less braking bumps on the approach into that tight right-hander, so maybe a little bit gained, maybe a little bit lost, who knows, maybe it's evened itself out. But look at the shiny lines coming down the hill. That's hard and slick. Blue groove, old school, on the downside of the tabletop there, where the guys are braking. 1.2 the gap. Tommy, get your chips all in. That's the message from Kawasaki. Got 5 laps remaining. And more back markers ahead of our leading duo. Tommy Searle, of course, the guinea pig. He's the first one that hits them. Back marker then looks over the shoulder. They see there's Cervelin, Andrea Cervelin, the 141 on the SKS Polnet TM factory machine. The Italian former factory Husqvarna rider. Right, is he going to interfere with play here? Does he know how close Tommy Searle is to? Gives it a big panic rev at the top of the hill. Cervelin looks over his shoulder, sees Tommy Searle coming through, has no option but to move out of the way. A little bit easier for Jeffrey Hurlings though. These two right at the top of their game in terms of talent and skill level and fitness. Tommy Searle, 22 years old. Jeffrey Hurlings, 17 years old, not 18 until September. Hurlings finished second in the World Championship last year. Tommy Searle in 2008, 2007. He's got his hands full here, though, because Hurlings closer than he has been. And look at the difference in line there. Will that be a passing opportunity in, well, the next few laps? Maybe the next 3 or 4 laps for Jeffrey Hurlings. Doesn't go as high up the bank. He swept across the turn there. Had a slightly different angle, rejoined the banking at a slightly different angle later around the corner. That might be his only option if push comes to shove on that final lap, potentially. But Tommy Searle, still, as we say, just over a second, 1.1. Pretty much even Steven in terms of lap times, both in the 53s at the moment. Under the Invest Trade Bank sign they go. That's just coming out of turn 1 there. that's getting watered in preparation for MX1 race 2. It will follow this maybe 15 minutes or so after the conclusion of this second MX2 race. Tommy Searle, look at that, he's opened up a bit of a cushion there. Had a good few corners as Tommy Searle. That's gone out from 1.1, that's for sure. So it's definitely Searle's race to lose at this moment in time. 112, Evan Havey going through there. He's a little bit lower down the leaderboard, not even in the points at the moment. Our final point scorer, Robert just ahead of him, Jens Getterman on the standing construct Suzuki. And Alex Batik in 18th. Just under 2 minutes remain, plus 2 laps. Joel Roulant is back in town and he's going after number 6, Max Anstey. Looks like he's regrouped. Got himself back in the frame of mind to have another go here. So the number 6 Honda of Max Anstey. Well, he knows what to expect, and he gets held up by the Suzuki at the bottom of the hill. Oh, he chose the wrong line. He gets on the gas, but trying to split the back marker there. Here's Joel Roulant, 249. Nikolai Larsen carrying a shoulder injury for the standing construct Suzuki team. Radar on for Max Anstey. He will know exactly where Roulant is. Oh, Roulant goes into it. Oh, he makes the move. He makes it stick. A very precarious situation there for both riders. Could have gone off the side of the jump there. But Roulant sensed the opportunity, came out of the wave section, turned earlier, and made sure he went for the front end of Max Anstey, who tried to keep it in as long as possible before he lost his legs there. Then had to hit the brakes before shooting off the side of the track. Managed to keep it between the lines, but he will respond in the next 3 laps. Of that I am very sure. But Joel Roulant for now, though, watch this. Roulant turns early, gets on the gas, uses Anstey as a berm, who got his leg up just at the right time, but was left with absolutely nowhere to go. I don't think we've seen the end of that one yet in this moto. But Tommy Searle, 1.5 seconds clear now of Jeffrey Herlings. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, though, a little bit further back. But Tommy Searle was 1.4 seconds clear. Herlings seems to have had a good half a lap, though, since crossing the finish line, and he's closed back in. Again, Tommy Searle, fastest lap of the race with a 52.0. 52.3 for Herlings, but he's whittled it down somewhere on this lap. Maybe a mistake coming out of a corner for Tommy Searle that we didn't see, but that's allowed. Herlings right back in it with just over 2 laps to go. So, I thought he was jumping out of the track there and connecting a tough block. Jeffrey Herlings, the back end just came out to the right-hand side there. Any movers down the order, everyone pretty much as they have been for the for the last certainly maybe 10 or 11 laps or so. Van Hoorbeek 3rd, Roulant's 4th, Anstey 5th, Boutron 6th. Well, in fact, it's Roulant's the one that's made the move into 4th position, pushing Anstey back. But Lupino 7, Tonkov 8, Dylan Ferrandis is 9th, Harry Kulas is in 10th place. Oh, mistake there for Jeffrey Herlings. That may have cost him the overall Grand Prix. So 2 laps to go then. A little bit of breathing space for the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, number 100, Tommy Searle of Great Britain. Or England if you want, if you prefer, but Jeffrey Herlings of the Netherlands certainly. He was 1.5 seconds as he came over the line, but then he just ran wide, going through that corner after the finish line jump. And you can see the airspace that he's been able to hand Tommy Searle, but we've seen Herlings close up. They've been yo-yoing backwards and forwards towards each other throughout the last few laps, and well, still going to be too tough to call in which way this could go. Tonkov down in 8th, Ferrandis 9. Further down, it's pretty much as it was. Oh, Pocock's lost a few positions, down in 14th now. Harry Kulas has moved up into 10th, pushing Michael Lieb down to 11th. Michael Lieb doing well, considering the fact that he's been in the middle of Supercross for the last 34, Joel Roulant comes down the hill. Little over 2 laps to go, under 2 laps to go. There's Max Anstey, so he has broken free from the Honda rider, Max Anstey, number 6, after their little bit of battling on a lap or so ago. Tommy Searle, though, takes the 1-lap board. There's Herlings. Herlings in the mood here. He's going to give it everything he can as he goes after Tommy Searle. This is for the overall Grand Prix victory. 1.5 in it as they came over the line, but Tommy Searle, he cannot relax. He cannot back off 1 iota because Herlings is there and he's ready to pounce and ready to pick up the pieces if need be. But wow, what a grandstand finish we've got here for the second FIM MX2 motocross race here. The concluding lap here for this Grand Prix in Sevlievo, Bulgaria. Back marker just ahead of Tommy Searle, goes the long way round the corner. That's the 300 of Golovkin Vekashlev. No problems for Tommy Searle, gets nicely in the groove there on the gas, launches his way down the hill into turn 7. Has a back marker in the way now, though, who realises he's there. The back marker goes across the other side of the track, does his best, but look how close. Herlings is going into that corner at the top of the hill in the wave section, and he's going for the inside. He senses an opportunity here. Hard on the brakes. We've got the yellow flag waving. Oh, look how close he was. Jeffrey Herlings to running the wheel down the inside of Tommy Searle. He would have heard that for sure. The Brit, number 100 on the Kawasaki. Still 2 cuff to call. This is where I thought Herlings might make a pass. He's going to jump long down here. Not going to get through. Just 3 corners to go for Tommy Searle. Under the Monster Energy bridge. Both riders keeping it low. Time running out for Jeffrey Herlings. Up and over the top of the hill they go. The triple jump now into this left-hander. The final corner on the track. Herlings still believes he can win it. It's a drag race down the hill, but Tommy Searle is going to just take the victory here. He wins the race. He wins the Bulgarian Grand Prix. What a race. What a race. Jeffrey Herlings, he took it all to Tommy Searle. 2nd place for him. And he will be disappointed. He's lost the Grand Prix by a single point. The Bulgarian crowd like what they've seen here. And, well, who can blame them? Victory. Kawasaki win both races. Important in the manufacturer's chase. But Tommy Searle wins the Grand Prix. It's going to be Herlings in 2nd. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek coming down the hill to take 3rd. Now, as we speak, a considerable way back, though, on the other 2 guys ahead of him.
Tommy, a really close race there at the end.
It was good. I was so nervous, but I'm so happy. Like, I wanted to come out and win that, but I should have won the first one, but I got the overall and I'm happy.
Well done.
Now he's got his first win under his belt. Wow, there you go. Hugs all round. JJ, Jean-Jacques Lassetti there, first to congratulate him. Then Harry Nolte here with the hat. And, well, it's nervous. Nervous times for him in that race, but he held on. Now he knows he can do it. Might make him a little bit more relaxed going into Fermo in a week's time. The Italian Grand Prix, of course. But that was the gap, 2.2 in the end. Not reflective of the finish line, because as soon as Herlings came out of this left-hander here, he tried to push, but as soon as he landed off this step down, he knew his chance was gone. He backed off and coasted to the line there. But Tommy Searle never let off, and it was a good, well, a great lesson in concentration there for, from Tommy Searle's point of view. He soaked up everything that Herlings could throw at him. The pressure, the cheeky little moves to the inside. He was never phased. Been around too long for that as Tommy Searle, and it results in him winning the race and the Grand Prix. And there he is in the waiting area before we get to speak to him. Kules got back to 9th in the end, pushing Dylan Ferrandis down into 10th position. So a good couple of laps then for the Rockstar Energy Suzuki rider, Harry Kules. Michael Lieb was 11th. Jake Nichols got up to 12th in the end then, ahead of Petrov, Tixier, and Pokop. Look at this action here between these 2 guys, Roulant and Anstey. They provided the fireworks, no doubt about that, on more than one occasion. Right, confirmation then of that second race for MX2. Tommy Searle, Fluid Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, wins from Jeffrey Hurlings. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek was third. Joel Roulant got through to fourth in the end ahead of Max Anstey. Alex Lupino, great ride for him on the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna. Jose Boutron and Alexander Tonkov round out the top 8 from Harry Koulas. Just mentioned him a moment ago. Good ride to get to 9th in the last couple of laps, and then Dylan Ferrandis. Michael Lieb, he'll be pleased with points in both races. Jake Nichols be disappointed he lost the front end whilst in third place early on. Petrov was 13th, Tixier 14th, Pocock was 15th, then Lieber, Chervelin, Batik, Getterman and Robert Juss. Obviously the overall Grand Prix victory will be Tommy Searle. We'll see those in a moment. And just 2 points separating our top 3 finishers. Jeffrey Hurlings came here with the red plate, but he doesn't win the Grand Prix. Look at that. Tommy Searle 45, Hurlings 44, Roulant's 43. Then it was Van Hoorbeek, Max Anstey would have only finished in 5th anyway. Koulas, Ferrandis and Tonkov. Nichols, he'll be disappointed with that after that mistake that left him down in 12th. He would have known there was a few more points on the board, and then Lupino down in 10th overall this weekend. 24 point scorers, Robert just picking up a point. The Latvian there just behind Ivo Monticelli. 25 point scorers then, okay. Now in terms of the championship, it will be Jeffrey Hurlings, of course. Be a job to see whether it's going to be Roulant's or Tommy Searle. I'm guessing Tommy Searle may have snatched it back from his teammate. They were tied on points. Yeah, Tommy Searle, look. Van Hoorbeek sitting pretty there, and Max Anstey in 5th. Nichols in 6th. Good for him. And Tixier and Ferrandis. Koulas, where he has been for the last couple of years, but expect him to improve as the season goes on. And Lupino, good start for the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna factory team. He's there in 10th place. Michael Lieb, 17th, after picking up 21 points today. He'll go to Fermo next week in Italy for what we believe will be his final Grand Prix of the season before heading back stateside. Of course, he's filling in for Zach Osborne, but Arnold Tonus will be back. That means that maybe Mel Pocock, who's going to be concentrating on the European MX2 Championship and the British, he'll remain a rider. Maybe we're not sure whether he'll go to Mexico or Brazil yet, Mel Pocock, but of course, we'll soon find out. Kawasaki then, look at that, and KTM, but Kawasaki on top by virtue of their overall Grand Prix victory today, picking up 50 points. KTM second from Honda, then Suzuki, Yamaha, Husqvarna and TM. Well, the flags fly high next to the podium. Of course, the Belgian flag and the British Grand Prix, the British flag there, and the Dutch flag. The Dutch flag for Jeffrey Hurlings, but Joel Roulant, the Fluid Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, he won the first moto. Going to have to be content with 3rd overall, though, in the Grand Prix. Jeffrey Hurlings, the Red Bull KTM factory racing rider, 2nd overall. You saw his disappointment in the body language as he came over the line, but what a victory for Tommy Searle. What a race win as well, and what a finish to the MX2 second moto. Tommy Searle edging out Jeffrey Hurlings, the rider to his right, our left, for the overall Grand Prix. Harry Nolte, team manager for Fluid Kawasaki, picking up another manufacturer's award on behalf of the Japanese manufacturers. Vasil Hristov, deputy mayor of Sevlievo, hands a 3rd place trophy to Joel Roulant. At least the podium's in the shade for the guys this week. Does the same again for Jeffrey Hurlings, takes 2nd place. Would have preferred the 1st place trophy though, but he would have had to work hard for it. Tommy Searle certainly did. Tommy Searle gets his 1st place trophy by the mayor of Sevlievo, Ivan Ivanov, and emulating what he did here just 4 years ago, when he won in MX2 for KTM, of course. Harry Nolte will pick up the manufacturer's trophy on behalf of the Japanese manufacturer. Even off again on hand, the mayor of Sevlievo. And that's a big win for those guys. Well, the red plate still, though, belongs to Jeffrey Hurlings, Dr. Wolfgang Strub, the FIM CMS director, handing that second plate. Second red plate, I should say, for Jeffrey Hurlings. Third time he's led the championship, though. Remember, he took over the leadership midway through last year, just for the one round. National anthem, Great Britain, playing through the airwaves here. Tommy Searle winning the Grand Prix. Here's the national anthem for Japan. Well, Tommy Searle and Kawasaki will be hoping those national anthems are going to be played a little bit more through 2012. Harry Nolte exits the podium area before his riders can give him a good dousing in the bubbly, but Jeffrey Hurlings, a smart one there, puts the goggles on. He looks disappointed, though, with that second overall, but Tommy Searle, for the second Grand Prix in succession, the Kawasaki boys have been on the podium in second and third in Holland, first and third here in Bulgaria. Jeffrey Hurlings on the podium, so the same podium as Holland, just in a different order, but Jeffrey Hurlings still leads the World Championship. Here's what happened in race 2, MX2, in what was an eventful affair. The gate dropped, Tommy Searle got a good start, so too did Jake Nichols. And then going through turn 1, it was Nichols who grabbed the whole shot, then got wide, ran wide. But there were fireworks a little bit further back between Boutron and Alexander Tonkov as they battled over the top sort of 5-6 positions initially. Then it was Roulant and Anstey who went at it quite literally, bar to bar, wheel to wheel, elbow to elbow. Anstey then cutting off the line through the corner for Joe Roulant. That wouldn't be the first time those guys came to. Tommy Searle, though, was up front and he had a comfortable lead and then suddenly found himself coming under pressure from number 84, Jeffrey Hurlings. This was for the battle for the lead and, of course, the overall Grand Prix. If Tommy Searle stayed there, he would win by a point. Max Anstey and Joe Roulant. Ding, ding, round 2 for these guys. Roulant ran down the inside, ran Anstey wide, and the two almost, well, they collided, almost went off the side of the track, but that was enough for Roulant to go through into 4th place, and Anstey being demoted down to 5th. The final lap, though, there was nothing in it between Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings, and Tommy Searle came home the eventual winner. And, of course, that was good enough to win the overall Grand Prix. We're going down to speak to our winner, Tommy Searle.
Tommy, first race win and first GP win of the year there. You must be pretty happy.
I am really happy. I think the whole team's so happy to get this so early on. And I mean, my starts were good today. The whole shot, I never done that all last year. So it goes out all the hard work that Harry Nolte and Mitch have done and all the rest of the mechanics. So really happy. And yeah, disappointed I couldn't win the first one, but I made it happen in the second one and done the best I could today. So really, really happy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and a very, very well-deserved victory as well. Tommy Searle on the box. The top step this weekend in the second Grand Prix of the season. And for him, well, he's got to have his sights firmly fixed on winning again in Fermo in similar conditions there in Italy in a week's time. Was disappointed with the first race, having to finish in 3rd place, but he bounced back, showed good spirit, fight, determination to win the second moto, culminating in the overall Grand Prix, edging out his what's going to be his fiercest rival for the championship, Jeffrey Hurlings, who's down there ready to speak to us now. He's waiting with Amy. Let's hear what Jeffrey Hurlings, the championship leader, has to say.
Jeffrey, it was really close between you and Tommy there, right there at the end.
Yeah, it was really good. Not such a good start. You know, came out about 6-7, made it really fast up to second place. Then closed about a 7-second lead to Tommy. And then he wanted to let me pass. I was like, nah, you can have this one. I beat you last time around, so right, I'll let you win this time. So, but anyway, I got to give up the Red Bull KTM racing team. Did a great job. Bike was really good, and got some tests to do. Got to be some faster in the beginning of the race, but hopefully, far more is going to be mine. Going to work hard, and yeah, hope that we'll get a win there. Still 7-point lead over Tommy, so I'm pretty pumped. Not my kind of track, so I had a solid ride.
Well done.
Well, you didn't quite give the victory to him, apart from when you came out of the final corner, Jeffrey, but we'll let you off. But you rode good all the same. You took the challenge to Tommy Searle, but just came up a little bit short. As you say, you still have a 7-point lead, and you're looking forward to going to FOMO. You won there last year, of course, but hey, who knows? We're in for a bit of a fight in MX2 this year, that's for sure. It's not quite a two-horse race, though, between Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings. Joe Roulant has once again proven that he's more than worthy of being in this fight for the championship. He's third in the championship. He was third overall this weekend with a race win and a fourth. He's waiting down in the wings to speak with Amy Dargan, our girl down there with the mic. Let's hear what Joe Roulant has to say.